Started streaming. What's up, everyone? Happy Friday. How's everybody doing? For those of you that are new subscribers, Billy, can you see this or what?
It just came up.
Great. Welcome. Actually, I have a very good friend of mine that's visiting, my buddy Pat. We've been friends for about 40 years. Say hey, Pat.
Hey, Pat.
Anyways, I'm actually going to do this lesson because of Pat. He's a beginner. There's discount code for today's live stream. It's RB300. It's 60% off my Beato book, 40% off my ear training. This is a big sale here. If you want to support the channel, that's one way of doing it. You can also buy mugs and learn what your triads are, what your seventh chords are, what your modes are. I have mugs of all those kind of things. But if you want to know what we're doing in here, either by ear or the theory behind it, it's all in my book and my ear training course. So, I'm going to start at the beginning. There's a lot of beginners. I get probably 70,000 plus subscribers a month. So there's a lot of new people that are coming on here that know nothing about music theory, and this is going to be a beginner's guide, or it'll be a review for those of you that may know some but need a little help remembering. Okay, the first thing in my Beato book is intervals. Intervals are the distance from one note to the next. If I take the note C on the piano and I move up a half step to the first black key above it, that's C to C sharp or D flat. If it's D flat, you would call that a minor second interval, okay? Then you have C to D is a major second, C to E flat is a minor third, C to E is a major third. This is important to know if you want to learn how to build chords and scales. But there's actually an easier way to know that, and it's to take the major scale and say, the major scale is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so if you're in the key of C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, that's the major scale, and then back to C. Okay, we're going to call that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Essentially, the major scale has all major intervals or perfect intervals. Okay, so from 1 to 2 is a major second. From 2 to 3 is a major second, or what we usually say is 1 to 3 is a major third, 1 to 4 is a perfect fourth, 1 to 5 is a perfect fifth, 1 to 6 is a major sixth, 1 to 7 is a major seventh. So that's what I mean when I say all the major intervals, right? So we call this a major second to here, major third to here, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, and major seventh. So all major intervals, no minor intervals in here. Except here, from 7 to 8 is actually a minor second. We use lowercase to indicate minor, okay? So, what we do here is I take the major scale, and this is very, very common. You take the major scale as your basis for building chords, okay? And if there's an alteration in a chord, as I'll show you, when you have a minor chord, you put a flat before the number. Okay, so if we take a major chord, if you want to build a major chord, let's say we're in C major, you take the first note of the scale, C, right? I'm going to write the scale here, E, F, G, A, B, and then C. Take the first note of the scale, third note of the scale, and fifth note of the scale. And that gives you C major right there. Those are the notes that are in C major. If you're writing a song, I did this video on Justin Bieber and Toto that Justin Bieber song had the chorus that was very similar to a Toto song. Well, the notes of each chord I explained, if you use a 1, 4, 5, and 6 progression or any combination of those 4 chords, there's only about 4 notes that sound good on those. Okay, maybe 5, but the 1, 3, and 5, if it's a C major chord, those are the notes that are going to sound good in the melody. The 2 sounds good too, right? And sometimes the 4 sounds good if it's a sharp 4. But typically 1, 2, 3, and 5 are the notes that sound good. So your melody is going to have those notes in it if it's going to be a melody that actually makes sense. and that sounds like a well-written melody, which is really a tough thing. If you have thousands and thousands and thousands of songs, I said this in the video, that are written with these same 4 chords, and I'm going to go over those 4 chords, you're going to see how you could stumble across very similar melodies, because then the only other difference is the rhythm, right? So let's say we take the chord F. F is the 4th chord in the key of C. You start on F, and you just skip a note each time. F, A, C. That's an F major chord, right? So F major is F, A, C. G major, I'm just going to extend the scale 1 more note, 2 more notes. One more note, D. Right there. Oh, I hate sloppy, hate that. Good. Okay. If I go to the 5 chord in the key of C, that's the chord, that's G major. That has the notes G, B, D, right? That's G major. And then the 6th chord is A minor. The 6th chord has the notes A, C, and then E. Always just skip a note. This is how you build chords in a scale. So that's how you build triads there. Those are 3-note chords. So this is the 1 chord, use a capital Roman numeral. The 4 chord, use a capital Roman numeral. Anytime you have a major chord, capital Roman numeral. And a minor chord, you use a lowercase Roman numeral. So these are the main chords that you would have in most pop songs. 1, 4, 5, 6, right? Okay, let's talk about that for a second here, because this is kind of what's important about music theory. So C major equals the note C, E, G. F major equals, or I'm going to do it this way. C major, we say 1, 3, 5, okay? If I were to make it a C minor chord, you flat the 3rd, the middle note, okay? So this is C, E, G. If I flat the middle note, that means move it down a half step. That would be C minor. So C, E flat, G. So we'd go 1, flat, 3, 5. These formulas are actually very simple to memorize, okay? If you know a major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, you can figure this out, okay? But it takes a little bit of memorization. So minor chords have this arrangement, 1, flat, 3, 5. Or if you want to know the intervals, this is a minor 3rd, this is a major 3rd. This is a major 3rd on the bottom, C to E, and a minor 3rd on top, okay? C major. C to E is a major 3rd interval, E to G is a minor 3rd. C minor is just the opposite. C to E flat is a minor 3rd, E flat to G is a major 3rd. But the outer notes are the same between the 2 chords, right? C to G, that interval is a perfect 5th, P5. Perfect. P stands for perfect, P5. So the same thing. All right. Now, if I write down the notes of the other chords, okay? By the way, once again, discount code. You want to support the channel? You want to learn this stuff? Get my Beato book. It's all in it. This stuff is actually in the very first chapter. Intervals, how to build chords, circle of fifths that we've talked about, made many videos on that. And if you want to be able to hear the chord progressions and be able to pick out melodies by ear, my ear training course. Anyways, so a C major chord has C, E, G. F major has F, A, C. G major has G, B, D. A minor has A, C, E. Now, if you look at the chords and compare them, F major has one common note to C, right? G major has one common note to C. A minor has actually 2 notes that are common to C major, okay? That's why it's called the relative minor. Right there. You're seeing when they start sharing notes in this chord. So C major has C, E, A minor has C, E. So if you're using that 4-chord progression, there's going to be so much repetition of those notes. Those are good notes to hold on. You can hold on the note E. If you're going from the A minor chord to C, you can hold over your melody note, right? So if I'm on A minor, right, and I'm play, so A minor, and my melody note is E, and then I go to C major. Both of those notes are in the, or that note is in both chords, right? A minor, C major, or the note C is in both chords, right? A minor, C major. Okay? So that shows you how, when you have these, what we call diatonic chord progressions, meaning they don't change key, how you get songs that just sound so similar. So the extra notes that would work on these chords, like I said, the second degree or the ninth. Second and 9 is the same thing, right? I'll do this. Second equals 9. When you hear people, 4 equals 11, 6th note of the scale equals the 13. It's just an octave up. So when you hear those terms, that's what that means. So a good note on C is the note D. That's an extra note that you can put in your melody that'll sound good. On F, you can put E or you can put G. D, you can put F sharp is a good note to use also. On G, you can have the note F. You can have the note A. You can have the note C if it's a sus chord. And then A minor, you can have the note B is good. You have the note G. Those are good notes. You can have the note D. All right? So this is your palette if you're writing. This F sharp is actually not in the key, but if you have a C major chord here, or that is the sharp 11 is what we call. The fourth would be that note. So 4, sharp 4, sharp 11. Okay. When you are writing these chords though, so let's say I have a C major chord and I add a D to it. That's actually called a C add 9 or C add 2. So understanding this stuff will help you in many different ways. If you are writing melodies, there are a few rules to follow. Try not to double the bass note from chord to chord, okay? If you're playing a C chord on your guitar and you sing the note C and then you go to G, don't sing a G on the note on the G chord. All right, that's doubling the root, meaning the root of the chord. Right? Here's the root of C. If I have C major, then I go to G major, and if I go to G major, what you don't want to do is go to the root. You don't want to have too many roots in a row from chord to chord. You don't want to have a parallel motion with your bass lines. Okay, now if I say, if you want to build other scales from this, chords and scales are all the same thing. They're just built from intervals. A chord is just, can be 3 intervals played together, right? I can put these notes together, it's F major chord. I can put these notes together, C major, G major, A minor 7, okay? If I want to write other scales, like a minor scale, we call it natural minor. You ever hear somebody say natural minor or minor scale? That's what they mean, natural minor. Basically, you take a major scale. I'm going to write out the notes of the major scale, and this is the formula. You flat the 3, okay? You flat the 6. You flat the 7. So this would be a C minor scale. I'll play the C minor chord. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. That's a C minor scale. That is the formula for a C minor scale. Okay? Now, all modes, you heard that term modes, all modes have a formula. There are 7 modes that we deal with in the major scale that comprise most of the notes that you would ever have if you're a songwriter. Okay, you rarely go outside the major scale. Occasionally you do. When I interviewed Steve Lukather, I talked about this song that he wrote called I Won't Hold You Back. And he had this, it starts on E flat major 7 in the bridge I talked about. And he sings in the second chord. And And that E flat note is the flat 9. Occasionally, you get those dissonant notes like that. That would be from the harmonic minor scale, or from the, it could be from the diminished scale, but that's not important right now. But the formula of modes is actually very easy. That natural minor scale is actually called Aeolian. And if this sounds like a fire hose of information, like I said, it's all laid out neatly in my book. You just look at these things and you memorize them. This is really there is no shortcut to this. Major scale is actually called the Ionian mode. So Ionian. They have very cool Greek names. The second mode of the major scale is Dorian. The third is Phrygian. Probably didn't think you were going to learn all this today, right? Lydian is number 4. That goes with the 4th chord in a major scale. The 5 chord is Mixolydian. The 6th chord is Aeolian. And the 7 mode is Locrian. Now, each of these goes with one of the chords of the scale. We already talked about 1, 4, 5, and 6. The modes that go with those, 1, 4, 5, and 6. The modes are Ionian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian. Those are really the scales they come from. But think of a mode as basically like a mode is a subset of a scale. The parent scale would be C major, right? If I start on D and use all the notes of C major, that's D Dorian. Okay, D Dorian is all the notes of C major, but it's just starting on D. If I start on the note E, the 3rd note of C major, and I play all the white notes, that gives you Phrygian. F gives you Lydian. G is Mixolydian. A is Aeolian. B is Locrian. Okay? So each of these modes has a formula. I already told you that the 1 and the 6, right? The 1 is the major scale, 6 is natural minor. We'll come to those. So Dorian, to get this has its own formula. And the formula for Dorian is flat 3, flat 7. That's it. If you take a major scale and you flat the 3rd note and you flat the 7th note of the scale, you'll get the Dorian mode. Phrygian, you flat the 2, flat the 3, 5, flat 6, and flat 7. Lydian, okay, one of my favorite modes. I don't have any favorite modes, actually. You sharp the 4, 5, 6, 7. That's all you do is you sharp the 4 in Lydian. Mixolydian, you just flat the 7. Aeolian, we just talked about that. That's natural minor. Aeolian, you flat the 3, you flat the 6, and you flat the 7. Locrian has a lot of flats in it. Locrian, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7. Okay, these modes, you'll get these notes if you take the C major scale. If I go from D to D, that would be D Dorian. I'm going to put the lowercase Roman numeral because that goes with a minor chord, the 2 minor, 3 chord, and then the 7 chord here is diminished. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. But 1, 4, and 5 are major modes. 2, 3, and 6 are minor modes. And this one we won't talk about there, Locrian, yet. Okay, that's a little special circumstance. Okay. So if I start using all the white notes, if I start on D and I play from D to D, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get the flat 3 and the flat 7. But that's actually related to a D tonic. So, not to be confused, if I take a C major scale and I make all these C tonic, C modes, right? Like C Ionian, C Dorian, C Phrygian, C Lydian, C Mixolydian, C Aeolian, C Locrian. Each of those would be from a different key. C Ionian would be from the key of C. C Dorian, I just flat the 3rd. and flat to 7. Okay? C Phrygian, I flat to 2, flat to 3, flat to 6, and flat to 7. C Lydian, I raise the 4th. That's what it means by sharp 4. Yes, Billy?
Low green flat 2.
Oh, I wrote 3. Sorry. There we go. I had a thank you, Billy. Billy, did you notice that, or somebody say that?
I noticed in people in chat said too.
Billy. Okay, so Lydian has a sharp 4. So if I take a C major scale and I raise the 4th note to F sharp. So in a C major scale, it would normally be F. If I change it to F sharp and keep all the other notes the same, it becomes C Lydian. Then C Mixolydian is a C major scale with a flat 7. This would be with a regular 7, C major. This is C Mixolydian. You can hear the difference between those. That functions. That's a totally different function. C Mixolydian comes from the key of F major. It's the 5th mode in F major. Okay. C Aeolian, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. Okay, we already talked about that. That is the natural minor scale, right? And then C Locrian, 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat, I'm sorry, 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7. Okay? These are the formulas for all your modes. Okay, so I started out with the intervals, but I said, okay, yes, intervals you need to know, because if you're going to learn things by ear, I know that if I wanted to sing the note F, I know the sound of a perfect 4th. I know that interval. Or if I don't even know what note I'm playing, and I hear that, oh, that's a major 6. And if you told me the starting note was C, then I'd know that higher note was A, because that's a major 6th above. This is why ear training is important, because if you hear somebody play, right, then you say C, A, G, F, C. Or if you hear that, okay, it's not Christmas time yet, so I won't complete that. But my daughter Layla wants me to grow a beard for Christmas, or wants me to look like Santa Claus for Christmas. And I told her I'd have to start growing it now to get it down to about here. And my wife's like, "You're not growing a beard like that." And then everybody was saying, "You look so old." And I said, I am old. Anyways, what do you guys think? Should I grow my beard out that long?
Yeah.
Billy says yes. Are people saying yes, I should?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm taking a poll right here. Should I grow my beard? But by December, it'll be about here. Because I grew my beard for 11 months one time, and that's about how long it was. Anyways, so these formulas, you just memorize. That's it. There is no, I say this all the time. Every time I do a music theory lecture on here, and I've done many, many of them, music theory is memorization. Okay? Unfortunately, it's like memorizing your multiplication tables. Okay? Once you memorize them, you don't even think about it. The formulas that I'm putting down here, I don't think about because I've taught them thousands of times. Okay? When I hear a chord, if I hear this chord, I know, oh, that's a C Lydian voicing. I can hear this sharp 4, F sharp. I can hear that sharp 4. That instantly when I hear that sound, I'm like, oh, that's definitely Lydian. Okay? If I hear this sound, I say, oh, that's Lydian. Definitely. That sounds like Lydian to me for sure. Right? If I hear this sound, I say, oh, that's Dorian. That's a Dorian sound. Because I hear that, da. I hear the root here, and I hear that note, and I know that's the 6th. And I hear the third, the flat 3rd in that chord. I hear the da, which is the 11. So when I hear these things, and I don't have perfect pitch, but when I hear these sounds, I know what they are. Okay, if I hear this chord, oh, that's a dominant 7 sharp 9 sharp 5. I just recognize the sound of these voicings. They're very common. Okay, even if it's a complex voicing like this, that is a major 7 sharp 5 chord. That would really be D flat major 7 sharp 5, or F major with a D flat in the bass. Okay, but every chord has a particular sound, a sonic signature. You don't have to have perfect pitch to recognize these things. You have to do ear training, okay, to recognize. These are called modal chords, or they could be called modal chords. Or you recognize that's C add 9. If I put ba in the bass, then that becomes a different chord. That's A minor 11. Okay, now I sang that A because I knew what the interval from this, I knew that interval to go down a minor third from da da in order to create that chord. And you should be able to sing any interval, so you should be able to hear, oh, that's an add 9 chord, or an add 2, C add 2. C add 9 would actually be the same notes, just with that note up the octave. That, or... So, if I put a B flat in the bass, ooh, nice. That's a totally different kind of chord. A in the bass gives you A minor 11, but B flat in the bass, and you have the 9, the third, the sharp 4, right, and the 6. So that would be B major 13 or major 6 sharp 11. Okay, there is no 7th in this chord. I'd have to go like this to have the major 7th in there, or I would just call this C add 9 over B flat. That's actually a more accurate description of that. So all these add notes, when you see this in a chord chart, if you buy some guitar music or something, or piano music, and you see little chord charts and it has the chord names basically describe what notes are in the chord. And what you need to know that, if you know the major scale, if you simply know that, and you know that the 9th, 11th, and 13 are the 2, 4, and 6, 9, 11, 13. So C add 9 would be C major. It's saying really C major add 9. C, E, G. Add 9. That means add this note, D. Okay? If it said add 6 or C13, C major 13, C major 13 would be C, E, G. That's C major with the note A on the top. I'd actually call that a C6 chord, because a C13 you'd have to have the note B in it. So this is a lot more complex. But when you see these 9, 11, 13, or add 2, add 4, that's what it means. It means add those notes of the scale. Add 4, add 6. Major 7 means it has the 7 in it. So count the 7th note as a major scale. There's a 7th note. Okay, so C major scale would be, C major 7 would be C major with a 7th on the top, major 7th interval. Major 7th interval from the lowest note to the highest note. Okay? So this stuff is not as complex as it seems, but there is memorization involved. Like I said, my Beato book, 60% off, that's the biggest sale that I have. 40% off my ear training course, that's the biggest sale that I've had. If you want to get those, if you want to be able to recognize these things, you guys have seen me when I do my top 10 Spotify things, or, rock chart or pop chart, and I hear the song and I can play it immediately. Well, a lot of it, first of all, I can immediately hear what the first chord is, not from perfect pitch. I'm referencing whatever the last song I heard was. And then I can predict, for the most part, what the other chords are, right? It makes it so easy. Once I hear 2 chords, I'm like, okay, I know what key it's in, so I know what the other chords are going to use, and rarely am I fooled. I can pretty much I'm not fooled, actually. It doesn't matter what the chord progression is. I'm not fooled. There's no pop songs where I say, oh, I don't know that progression. Even, if it's everything in its right place, which I put in the video with the Justin Bieber video I did. I use that as an example of people using an interesting beautiful, beautiful, right? Melody. If you guys know that song, I don't believe people. I mean, I'm thinking there's people out there who don't even know. Who's Radiohead? Is that true, Billy?
Probably.
So people can write great songs without resorting to that 1, 4, 5, and 6 boring chord progression. There you go. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to my channel. Check out my sale here. Like I said, RB300 is a discount code. That's how I make a living for my channel. That's how I can bring you videos. I don't have any videos behind a paywall or anything like that. I give it away. And I want people to learn this stuff so that they can write better, hopefully use their creativity and write better music in the future. That's kind of the goal of this. That's why I started teaching on YouTube. This is coming up on 5 years. In June, it'll be 5 years. So you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. See ya.